Hey YouTube, Jedi Fuka here, and in this video I want to talk about resource management, especially for free-to-play players. Basically, the stuff that you need to be trying to farm up and get as you're playing through the game. If you guys will check out the links, I really appreciate it, and we're just going to get right into it. So for the first things, we're going to talk about some of the simple stuff, and that is going to be your cooking and your smithing. For your cooking ingredients, guys, the way I get a ton of ingredients is that I would just go all the way through the map as you're playing through the story, collecting everything you can. And then I like to go back to try to finish these missions here, which everyone should be doing because you're going to get these extra rewards as you finish going through here. Now, whenever I'm doing these missions, what I would do is I would go to that section of the map and I would just re-talk to every NPC and re-farm it the next day. And then I would go back after I got to a new part of the story, finish that part, and then the next day, same thing, go back to that section of the map, talk to everyone, and farm everything on the ground. And that kept me pretty good with my cooking stuff. If you need like extra ones to fill in, like you're looking for particular recipes that you're trying to build for your teams, then you can just go straight to vendors and buy it. But I recommend doing that as a last resort because gold is very, very tight in this game. Now for your smithing, you're going to need these base iron ore, and over time it does get to be a lot. So a few things with smithing. When you get into late game, of course, all you're really going to care about is the legendary gear because it's going to outclass all the other gear by far. But don't overlook these tabs. You'll still make money off the epic and rare gear. So as you get these, make sure you come back in here, smith the pieces, and then just go straight to selling them so you can make that extra gold. Do not smith common pieces for money because it literally smiths for exactly what you're going to sell it for. So like if I make a common piece now, it's going to cost me 1,000 gold. It's going to use my iron ore and it's only going to sell for 1,000 gold. So you're actually going to be losing resources doing that. So look for rare, epic, smith that, make money off of it. On your map, what I've done is as I went through the story and as I go back and do stuff is I'll actually mark more important spots with this little thing right here, or if there's some spots that have something that I like to farm, I'll mark it with that. So just make sure you mark up your maps because these are going to give you good spots of where you can go back and farm some of the stuff at. Especially like for the iron ore, there's a lot of really good spots. This is one of my favorite spots to make sure I go to daily, right next to Grave of Curse. So I always mark the map of spots that'll have excess amounts like this. And if I have time during the day, if it's like my day off from work and I'm not doing too much, I'll come back and I'll farm these iron ore spots so I keep my surplus iron ore up. And then also if I'm going to be doing dungeons, I'm going to be stopping by some of these locations anyway. So don't forget to mark up your maps for that. Now, the next thing that I wanted to get into is as you're going back through the map, make sure you're challenging bosses in the map. And there's something that I've done with this label, the skull, is I put that where there are challenges that I haven't beat yet. This one I did beat, but I left it there so I can come here and show you. So basically, as I go through the map and you talk to all these characters, you're going to see where you can challenge them. And they're going to give you some decent resources every time you beat them. The first time you run through a map, you're definitely not going to be able to beat everyone, and there's still people I haven't beat. And after I talk to everyone in the city, if there's anyone left that I haven't beat, I just go through and I remark the map with a skull. And usually I come back like a week later, and then once I beat it, I go back and I take my markings off because I know now everyone's been defeated there. It's time to move on from that spot. But make sure you go back and farm them. Also, a lot of the reason for farming them is that you're going to get a ton of Wormire. I think that's how you say it, Wormero, whatever. You're going to get a lot of this from farming them, so you want to make sure you do it. Now, in the beginning parts of the game, as you're going through the story and you're doing everything, you're going to get a ton of the Wormero, you're going to get a ton of Heliolite dice, but it starts to slow down. So there's a few things that you want to make sure you pay attention to keep your resources moving up, and some of it even I need to work on. One of them is going to be your Feywilds. Make sure you keep pushing this daily. It's obviously been quite a few days since I pushed mine up. I'm going to do this later today, but there's going to be a ton of resources in here, so you definitely want to push it because this is where you're going to be able to keep farming your gold dice and your scrolls. You'll usually notice it's roughly every 10 levels you'll either get a scroll or you'll get a dice. So you want to definitely push this up because this is going to be one of your few places to farm these. And then we also have in the new area over here, the Pillar of Trials. This is another place you want to keep pushing. And this is why you want to also build as many teams as you can. And this is a place I come usually daily, so I didn't mark my map, but you also get some iron ore right here. And that's the good thing with iron ore, is a lot of the places that you need to be going anyways, it's going to be there. But for Pillar of Trials, you want to make sure you build your 3 teams and push this daily, because you're going to be getting resources in here just like you do in the Fey area. And same thing, usually every 10 levels you're going to get either a scroll or a dice. So that's something you want to pay attention to, because that's good resources to collect. And in the end, you're going to get an artifact, so you want to do your best to push to where you clear all the stages in here, which for free to play, that is going to be hard. No joke for that. Now, the other place for resources you want to be paying attention to is, of course, your events. So there are some events like Ace Challenger that can be a pain as you push up in the arena, but there are a few tricks for that. In the arena, also, I want to show another thing that you want to make sure you don't overlook. Wrong place. You don't want to overlook the arena for resources. For me, myself, I really don't like doing arena a lot. I'm not a big PvP person, but I do come here daily just because of the resource gain. If you're doing the events and you're having a hard time beating people, just go in here, set like a 1-person defense, or like I'm doing a 3-person defense. I'm not even using an affinity bonus. And what this does is the people who are super low level can't beat my 3-person defense, so I don't drop too low. But the people who are my level and a little bit lower level than I am are destroying my defense, so it keeps my level down enough that whenever I go into combat, I can get teams that I can actually beat, so I can continue to get those events, and when the rankings come around, we get the extra awards from that. Now, the other place, which I'm not a huge fan of, is this little tag team arena section, but I'm doing it anyways. I recommend you kind of do the same thing as you're doing with the arena. I come in, I set a 1-man defense on each of these so that people can just farm me. So for those of you on my server who are farming me, you're welcome. Free resources for you. But the reason why I do that is the same thing. When I come in here to farm this, it usually ends up being teams that on average I can beat at least 2 of their teams. So whenever I'm doing like dishes or nonsense, I just come in here, hit battle, let my team play out, and then I just push it up as much as I can. I managed to get enough that there was a Heliolite dice in the shop for that. So we picked that up, and now I want to push forward because there's going to be a scroll there whenever we get up to the higher levels for the team arena. I think that's going to be for the team arena. That's what it looks like, yeah. So now I'm going to be pushing for that scroll, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave a 1-man defense so I can keep farming up the medals once I get close to, I don't know, probably 3,000, because I'm sure that's probably where this is going to be at, somewhere around that area. Then I might set a harder defense and push my way back up. Another thing in the arena is, once the champion arena is open on your server, don't ignore this. You need to come in and just do 1 battle minimum so that you get your weekly rewards. So you get this decent little weekly reward here. And I just noticed that if you move up just 1 rank, you have a chance to get these legendary scrolls. I had been ignoring this because in Season 0, you didn't really get anything out of this, and it was a pain in the butt pushing in here, so I didn't do it at all. I came in here today, I farmed a battle. Because I don't do it, I stayed at the bottom. When you come in here, you can do as many matches as you want. I did like 3 matches, and I was fighting people that were higher level than me, so it gave me a ton of points, and it pushed me all the way up into the next tier. In the first tier, there's an epic scroll, and just in this very next tier, there's a chance for a legendary scroll. So make sure you come and do a minimum of 1 battle for the epic scroll, but if you can, do a couple extra to try to get that legendary scroll, because this will be a place that you can do a weekly farm for that scroll. So you want to make sure you're hitting that. The other places you want to be hitting, I can't show you right now on here, but whenever you do your weekly reset, you're going to have a list of your stuff to do. You're going to have your green dragon, your purple dragon, you're going to have your chaos rifts. Make sure you're going through doing all those. The chaos rifts, the main thing with them is getting the and the gold. They're the 2 resources that are really hard to keep up with, so you want to make sure that you're doing those just for that. Then of course, if you do the dragons, you're going to be getting your Bard scrolls. Whenever I spend my Bard scrolls, my recommendation for free-to-play players is to first save up for that Master Scroll because they are much harder to get, and then just buy the first Epic Scroll. Don't buy the ones for 700. Really worth it. The first one starts at 350. In the later stages of that, every week you should be able to buy the 350 scroll and the 3000 Master Scroll fairly easily, hopefully. If not every week, every other week you'll be able to get the Master Scroll for sure. But that's my recommendation for that, and that's going to give you a continuous farm for your Master Scrolls and your Scholar Scrolls. And then the best way to get Master Scrolls and Scholar Scrolls is to join an alliance that is active. So once you get an alliance that's active, like my alliance, we are about to start the next level. Let's see if it shows. Forget where to go. We're about to start the next level, and then whenever you get in the next level, the alliance shop itself, I don't really worry too much about this. I buy the discounted Essence of Creation. I don't buy the expensive ones, and I've been saving it so when my alliance gets to this level 10 pack, I can just buy it weekly. Every now and then I buy the Starlight Dice because that's going to be good. But the main thing for the alliance is whenever you win these duels and tournaments, you're going to be getting your farm for Epic and then eventually Master Scrolls. So you definitely want to be an active alliance. My alliance is at 700. Literally with one more small win, we're going to be farming Master Scrolls. So that's a weekly farm for your team as well. And then over time, between your alliance, between your weekly stuff, you're going to be getting a pretty steady increase in these scrolls, and that's going to help you book out all your champions or scroll out all your champions. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that. Now, whenever it comes to the events, don't get too worked up about some of these. I did a video over the UTR event. I feel like it's definitely more towards pay to play players. Now, there is a strategy that I was gonna use to try to complete this, and I'll share it with you guys, but I'm not gonna do it anymore, and I'll explain why. But what I was gonna do is I was gonna push all the Shadow Dungeon and the Continental Challenges until the very last week. And then after I pushed all of that, if I had enough Heliolite dice to finish this out and get him, I was gonna do it because a guaranteed champion is always worth it. So if you guys still want to try to go for him, that's what I recommend. Do all your dungeons, do your Continental Challenges. Don't do any pulls, just save them for the very last week. And if you have enough dice to get the pulls, to get the amethyst that you need or whatever, then go ahead and use the pulls and get him, because legendary champion, like normally I save the 80 for your guaranteed champion at the beginning of the season, but that is a guaranteed champion if you can get him. So if you can do that, do it. Highly recommend it. But if not, don't worry about it. Now, the reason why I'm not doing it is because I'm saving my resources now for this upcoming event. And that is for the Inferno and Twinkle. I have a feeling, I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling there's going to be some pulling involved in this in order to complete this. And my goal is definitely to get Dritz. He's one of my favorite fictional characters. I grew up on the Dungeons and Dragons books, so of course that's why I like playing this game. So for me, I'm gonna start saving my resources. If I would have known this was coming, I wouldn't have done my last pull session. I would have saved it for this just in case, but because I know it's coming, I'm no longer going to go for Utior. I'm going to save up for him. I have a feeling that they're going to make him an SS tier champion for sure, because you can't bring in a character like this and make him terrible. Otherwise, you're going to be making some player base mad. So I have a feeling he's going to be really good. So I'm saving all my resources for this event. Personally, for you guys, I would just say do whatever you prefer. If this is something that you want to do, then don't spend your resources anymore. Save it for this. It's probably going to be a good place to use it. If you don't care as much about it, then finish out your Utior. Make sure you get him. For me, Utior is just not going to be as good as him, I'm sure. So I'm going to save up my resources for that. But anyways, guys, that's really all I have for you. The main things I wanted to point out is making sure that you come to Arena. Just do the minimum of your one battle in the champion arena at least, so you're getting the epic scroll farm moving. It's a 0 to 1 chance, either 0 or one of them. So it's not perfect. You're not going to get it every time, but just for one battle, you're at least going to have a chance of getting that. If you do 3 or 4 battles, you have a chance of getting a legendary scroll, so make sure you go for that. Team Arena, set those one-man defenses and then just farm it out. Gladiator Arena, if you're not trying to push it, you can do the same. Set like a 1 or 3 man defense. Make sure you're pushing out the events on that. And then make sure you're just going through the map or refarming everything up. That's all I got for you guys. Hope this helps some of you out. Y'all have a good one.